Take three. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gallivanting Kendall. I'm Kendall Clement. Shoot me an email at gallivanting.kendall23@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of me. That address is in the show notes. I want to share with you a new cost of living analysis that I've done for expats here in the Philippines. And if you stick around till the end, I have some important insights about the exchange rate. Hit like and subscribe, and let's ride. All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am back at Plaza Sanaga, right near the boardwalk here in Naga City, Cebu, Philippines. For about the last 2 months, I've been doing some experimenting with my budget. I've been trying to see just what I can live on comfortably by the week. I give myself a weekly allowance. And what I've come up with is that I've been experimenting with 3,500 pesos a week. My $3,500 a week, or 3,500 pesos a week, does not include 3 visits to the doctor and 1 blood test. I'm fine. Just turns out I'm just paranoid, according to my doctor. 3 visits to the doctor, 500 pesos a visit. That's 26.75 for my 3 visits to the doctor this past month. Actually, this month alone, and we're only about halfway through the month. And my labs were 1,600 pesos, and that was a blood test for only just to take a look at my kidneys. And that is $28.53 for those lab tests. So I find that on my cheat day, which is Saturdays, I spend 1,500 pesos. 1,500 pesos on my cheat day. And actually, this past cheat day, I only spent 1,400 pesos. So I actually didn't even spend the whole 1,500 that I have allocated for my cheat day, where I eat out, fast food, ice cream, whatever else I like, lechon, pancit, all that good stuff. 2,000 pesos is what I had left for groceries. And I did figure it out. 3,500 pesos a week is $62.41. And if you drink, you drink, I don't drink, so I would say between another 1,000 and 2,000 pesos a week for booze. And that's about another $17 to $35. Booze is cheap here. Beer is cheap here. Really, really cheap, unless you go to S&R and get, Heineken or some of your American brands. But a lot of people, when they come here, they fall in love with San Miguel or San Miguel's Red Horse, which is a lot more powerful in its alcohol content. A lot of people love Red Horse. I would say it's probably the most popular beer here in the Philippines. If you want to go to the movies, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is here. It's 350 pesos. That's $6.24. Last time I went to the movies in LA, I think it was like 18 or 19 bucks at the ArcLight. Or was it the ArcLight I went to? That was the last time in LA. But when I was visiting my family in November, I did go to the movies in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I think that was actually 20 bucks. Anyway, laundry, man, I am not happy. When I moved to Manila, I am definitely getting a washer and dryer. I am not happy with my laundry costs. If you have a girlfriend, here's the thing about Filipinos, man, they are raised to do certain things. It's just part of their culture. They are raised to take care of the home, and that means do certain things for their mate that in America, American women might say, no, you do it. So if you have a girlfriend or a wife, you just have to pay the cost of soap. And she will do your laundry, often by hand. If you don't have a girlfriend, you can count on about 430 pesos for 2 loads, and that's $7.67 for 2 loads. I actually spend about $35 a month on laundry because I take my laundry out to a lavandera, uh, which is a laundry, and they do it and they fold it and they, put it nice and neat in plastic bags, and I pick it up in a day or two. Rent. Your mileage may vary when it comes to rent, but for the most part, you're going to pay between $100 and $1,100 per month in rent. And some guys like doing that. They like paying $1,100 to $1,200, even more, for rent because they want to live in first class accommodations in Manila in the BGC or in Makati in a very nice condo. And the rest of their budget can be pretty tight or not, depending on what they've got coming in. Now, healthcare is complicated, man. I'm waiting to hear about approval for the Pacific Cross Dollar Plan, which is about $2,000 US dollars per year. It can get much cheaper than that. I would like to refer you to Michael Onstad. You can find him on Facebook. That's Onstad, Onstad. Michael is the insurance broker who's American. He's an American expat here in the Philippines, and a lot of us go to him for our health insurance needs. Electric and water. If you have good windows and you're conscious of the way you use aircon, it can be as low as $49 per month. Now, it's been hot here, and I paid for the last 2 months $92 American dollars per month for each of the past 2 months, and I think the month before that I paid $75. But it's been hot like the last 2 or 3 months, and I haven't been very conscious of my aircon usage. But this month, I can already feel it's cooling down, and I'll probably get back to $49 per month, which is my norm. So somehow I have to warn you though, because there's a former tenant in the bungalow next door, and I don't know what she was doing, man, but her aircon got to 192 US dollars 2 months ago, and she moved out about a month ago or a little more. I have no idea how she did that. That just seems crazy to me. I know she had a couple of kids, but man, the windows are good in that place, and she must have left that aircon going 24/7. I would say that you can be comfortable with $1,500 a month. Now, the biggest nut is your rent. You keep that down for the first year, your first rental here, and about the first year. And there's going to be a period of adjustment with all your expenses because you're going to be figuring out where you're going to go to get the things you need or want. If you're here and you're with an LDR, a long distance relationship, and she's going to be living with you, she can help you with keeping your expenses down. Filipinos are very, very good when it comes to saving money. You will like that. Buying food at the wet market is smart, so long as you have a Filipina who is doing the buying, because otherwise they're going to see you coming a mile away. And I don't care what your ethnicity is. If you're like me, and sometimes people confuse me for being Filipino. In fact, it happens more often than I would like to admit. But once I open my mouth and they hear my accent, man, the price goes up. And I get the skin tax or the foreigner tax, or you know what I'm saying. So it's much cheaper, much, much cheaper, but I buy all my food at the supermarket. And that's why my food is 2,000 pesos a week. It would be probably half that if I could get all my food needs met at the wet market. Now, transportation is super cheap. A jeepney for 3 to 5 kilometers will cost you, like 12 pesos. That's 21 cents. I never heard of anyone paying more than 35 pesos for a 30 to 45 minute ride, which is about 28 kilometers or 17 miles. If you want to rent a scooter, you'll pay $70 and up, depending on the model of the bike and who you rent it from. I rent it from a foreigner There's a guy here from Norway, and he has a scooter and motorcycle rental business. And I rent my scooter from him, and I pay about $70 a month consistently. And he takes care of all the maintenance. And I just send him the odometer reading once every 2 or 3 months, and he says, yep, time for an oil and gear oil change. And he comes to get the bike and leaves me a bike I can ride for a few days, and he takes it out. And this last time we had to get new tags as well. So you can afford to get, out of town. Here's the thing. You cover these major expenses and you'll be good at around $1,500 a month. That'll afford you an out-of-town trip once or twice a year. Now, a word about the exchange rate, as I promised you. And I feel very strongly about this because I've seen it on Facebook, and a couple of my Facebook friends who are foreigners have actually posted this about the exchange rate. Do not panic. Don't panic. My God, man. Jeez. Several months ago, it was at 58. All right? 58 pesos per dollar. My rent back then was probably $342 a month, okay, for my townhome. 2-bedroom townhome with 3 levels, a nicely decorated rooftop that I have there that I turned into my gym for a while. And now my gym is downstairs in my living room. That's another story. But the last couple of months, the exchange rate has been hovering around 54. And actually today, it's at 56. The U.S. made a trade deal very early on and very quickly with the Philippines. The local prices, in the store have increased just a little bit, and it's not that much. A quarter pounder with cheese meal and you'll have to figure out what this comes to in American dollars. I don't know. But a quarter pounder with cheese meal used to be 281 pesos, and now it's 301 pesos with the large fry and the large drink. So it went up 20 pesos. 20 pesos. That's less than 50 cents. Do not panic, okay? The local prices in the stores, they've gone up by maybe 5 to 7. The most I've seen is like a 10 peso increase on some of the things that I like to buy. It's still very financially advantageous to live here in the Philippines. Don't panic. So I hope my new budget experience was able to help you as well. Hit like and subscribe. And as always, take care of each other and give somebody a great day.